Hello everyone and welcome to another SuncatByte. Today's SuncatByte we will cover two things, pound define and const keyword. So what's define? Define statement is a preprocessor directive and what that does, a preprocessor directive gives the compiler instructions. To this point, we've actually seen one preprocessor directive already, and the one that we've seen so far is pound include. But the define statement, what it basically does is it gives you a symbolic constant that performs a substitution in the code. Let's make our text bigger here. There we go. So an example, or in general, oops, what did I do there? Okay, good. So how do we use this? By doing this. Pound define, then you're going to have a symbolic name, and then a character sequence. Example would be, very common one that we'll see, pound define pi for the numeric constant pi. There we go. 3.14.159.265. So that would be one way to do it. And it's basically a convenient way for coding numeric constants, and it gives you an easy way to remember words instead of numbers. So I'll tend to remember pi instead of 3.14.159.265. So that's one of the reasons you would do a constant at the when you do the preprocessor directives, which is at the top of your program, same place that we would do the include statements. There's a couple of conventions that are common here. One is to use capital letters for constants, and another is to place them at the top of the file. Okay, and so when you do this, you can refer to pi later in the code. You only have to do this definition here with the define statement one time. Some other examples would be pound define max 100, pound define file in, so this would be a path to an input file. We'll get into this more later in the semester, but this is basically the file name. Here's the handle for it, and here's the actual file name. Say we wanted to do hourly rate. That's another one that we could do. So just some more examples of how we can do this. So look here, file in is going to be a lot easier to remember than C data input. Or if you have a really long path to a file, that's even going to be harder to remember. So this is doing constants via a define statement. You can also use the const keyword. So we have the const keyword. Let's just say include. Let's take this guy up here. So say include is also a preprocessor directive, just to keep that in mind. Okay. So now, const It's used in variable declaration statements. To declare a constant. Because it's a constant, the value remains the same. Value remains the same throughout the program. Okay, and the format for it is going to be const, then data type, variable name equals, and the initial value, which is really the value because it's not going to change, right? So, for example, say we had const double x equals 7.111. That's going to declare a constant named of type double named x, and its value is going to be 7.111. So anytime you refer to x now, you're referring to 7.111 in the program. So there's really two ways of doing the same thing. So let's look at some examples in code to see how this works. Let's take a look at this program. This is program 215, which is using defines. So at the top we have our first preprocessor directive, which is our include statement. Then we have using namespace standard. Then we have the define preprocessor directives. Here we have pi with the value of 3.14159.265 and radius with the value of 5.257. Then in here we have double circle area. We say circle area equals pi times radius, pi r squared, right? So what's going to happen when this code runs, the compiler is going to actually come in, and everywhere that it sees pi, it's going to replace it with 3.14159.265, and everywhere that it sees radius, it's going to replace it with 5.2575. So then the calculation will get done, and we should actually get the right circle area. Circle area is defined as a double. So let's see. Also down here, we should see pi and radius, right? So we should see those values because they get replaced. So let's go ahead and build this program. We're good. Now start without debugging. And here we go. Circle's radius is 5.257. Matches what we had there. Value of pi is 3.14159. 3.14159 there. And circle area is 86.8212. So notice that we had 3.14159 here instead of the full 3.14159.265. That's due to the fact that we didn't manipulate the output to give a certain number of decimals. There's another SuncatByte on IO manip that we need to look at, and the IO's flags. So that'll be another SuncatByte that you can look at that'll show you how to do that and give a certain amount of decimal places and things. Here we don't get it because we didn't actually use those statements to configure it. But that's how define works. So say we wanted to do this with const statements instead. We can come in and change this code pretty quickly. We can comment these two lines out. Okay, and then we can come down here, and instead of using pound define, we can declare a couple constant. We can say const double pi equals this value. And we can do const double radius equals that value, 5.257. We can build the project. Shouldn't get any compile errors. We do not. And we can run it, start without debugging. And there you go. We get the same results. The difference in this case is we don't do the substitution. This is actually, it's a variable that doesn't vary, right? So it's constant. So anytime you have pi, you're going to have 3.14159.265 in your calculations down here. So same way of doing it, just a little bit different behind the scenes. The question, which one is better? I tend towards using const. It's just my personal preference, but one is not necessarily better than the other. It kind of comes down to style and what you prefer. So that's it for this Suncat Byte. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please email me. Office hours Tuesday, lab hours Thursday, and then we also have the discussion board for you to ask questions. I will talk to you all soon, and that's it. Thanks. Bye.